Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to install a ProVent 2000 I think catch can from Western Filters Australia. This is the catch can here. I bought it second-hand online and in a Ford Ranger PX3. Mine's a 3.2 liter. It goes around here in your ute. There's only a few tools you're going to need for this job, and let's get started. Okay, so for the first thing you're gonna take the engine cover off. I've already done some parts of it, so you might see that some of the things are kind of loose already, but what you want to do is actually hang on, let me just grab the pliers. Okay, so you're gonna need these type of extendable pliers. I don't think you can do this job with the standard pliers because there's a bit of a gap. You'll see what I mean when you get there, but first thing first, you start off with removing these hoses which are clamped onto the big pipe which comes out of the your crankcase. So remove this bit here and pull these aside. Make sure they don't get you don't drop them off in your engine bay. And then from here, I've already loosened it, but you want to extend your plier a little bit like so. Okay, right, and then go from here and then clamp onto it and pull it back. Same thing on this side, you clamp it on from this angle here and then you pull it back. I've done mine already, so mine are already loose. These can be tricky, so just take your time here, but then you should be able to just pop this out from the both ends just like so and take it out. You're not gonna need this pipe anymore, so just store it in a safe place. Alright, now this part should be relatively easy. I'm assuming when you get the kit, all of this stuff is gonna be separate, so you're gonna have to do some of the work here. One of that would be just putting this clamp on to the tap. This one's got a zip tie. I'm assuming there's another clamp, but he might have lost it, the last owner. And then make sure you install this bracket. Don't install this first. I think the instructions say install this one first and then install the filter on top, but I think it's much easier to have the bracket installed first. Make sure it's nice and tight and then install. It goes on here. There's already screw holes on the chassis, so you're just gonna grab the screws which came with it and then mount it on. Tricky part with this bit here is feeding this tap through down to the I don't know if you can see it, but through the V-lock. I bought some zip ties, so we're gonna zip tie it, but I might have to do a bit of plumbing here to get it to the right point where it needs to go, so let's do that. As I said, it was slightly tricky. Luckily my Ranger is a bit lifted, so it's easier to sort of reach around this area, but you have to somehow feed it through from the top and make sure it comes out this way. Well, I'll zip tie it later, but my plan is to sort of zip tie it around this this frame here, because there's no moving parts around. It's unlikely that the wheel will rub against it. I'll just probably move it on this side just to be safe, but yeah, that's that. Back at the top you've got your coolant line coming from here. Mine doesn't clip onto these two clips anyway, so normally use this clip, because if I use this clip it starts touching the radiator, which makes me think that it's probably gonna start burning at some point. So I normally used to keep it loose anyway, but what you can do is take it out, put your filter in place just like so, and now hang on a minute, let me just quickly grab those screws. Alrighty, so with your filter in place, just loosely screw them in. This one and the other one. Alright. Let's go. I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. Will you see? 10 mil. These are the 10 mils. So you just screw it on just lightly, not too much. And at this point, put this aside and feed the tube just past it like that. Now you can use that mount there, but what I'll do is I'll just use my standard mount which I was using. It doesn't get in the way. Filter's nice and tight. Well, not at the moment, but it will be. So alright, I'll probably tighten it a bit more with the with this. Not too much tension, but just make sure it's still nice and tight, because with the diesel engines, since they vibrate a little bit, these screws do come in loose. But always make sure you don't over tight these things, because if you do, you're gonna free the screw, and that's not gonna be nice. Alright, so it's sitting there nice and firmly. Now I'm gonna grab the small pipe, just this one. Now I have to remember which way it goes, because when he had dropped it off, it was already installed. So let's figure it out. Alright, I think it's this way. Okay, I figured out. It was a rookie mistake. The thing is that I was aiming for the top bit, but that's where the pipe from the vent goes. So you have to install it at the bottom bit here, and it's just to get your clamps ready. I would even actually screw them up a little bit. Alright, so I've tightened these up so that they don't fall in the engine bay while I'm trying to install this pipe. But now you can just squeeze the pipe on top of the inlet there, and the other part goes on the side. So it's just a bit tricky, but we'll get there. Right, just like that. Nice. Now just loosen it up a little bit somehow, if I can reach it. And that should give you plenty of space for it to be moved down. So let's see if I can do it. Alright, needs to be a bit more loose. Hang on. Alright. Need to loosen it up a little bit more because of the size of the thing there. I feel like I haven't got much room left now. Alright, there we go, we got it. Alright, now just tightening it up. With everything on your car, just make sure you don't overdo things. Just don't over tighten this part either. You should just get to a point where you start feeling that it's just harder to screw it on more, and that's where you just sort of know to stop. Because if you do too much, then you can mess things up. You can do a lot of things which you don't want to do. There we go. And nice and wide. Comes to the point. Start screwing it in. Get to a point where you feel like it's getting there, getting tight. Yep, and that's where you want to stop. Perfect, it's not gonna come loose. Nice and firmly on there. Everything's good. Alright, now for the big pipe. Okay, so we're almost done. Here's the big pipe. Hopefully everything I'm recording is in the frame, because it's gonna be a pain otherwise. But anyhow, so you can see that this vent thing, it can be moved up or down, so you may want to just like move it up slightly, leave it there, and then put your thing on. Make sure you move this out of the bay a little bit, because if it drops in your engine bay, that's not very nice. It's not easy to get out and stuff, so I'll move it probably all the way there. Alright, and you just put it on, take this thing back, leave it there, grab your screw. Now I keep it on this angle downwards so that you can reach it from this side, but you can do it any way you like. You might just find it harder to do it from the top. It doesn't really matter as long as it's on there. That's what the main thing is. Okay, that's that bit done. Alright, now for the side. You actually need to go below this pipe. I should have done it already, but we can do it now. You need to go below this pipe, because if you go from top, you're likely to just go too far over and you won't be able to put your engine cover back on, and then just plug it in. Now grab your clamp there, bring it around, and put it on top. I'll just loosen it up a little bit again. It goes on top, nice, and then you just tighten it. And again, just tighten it to a point where it starts feeling a bit tight. Don't overdo it. There's no point. It's not gonna leak. It's perfect. Alright, now some extra bits which I'm going to do. I'm going to... Actually, I forgot to mention it earlier, but with the factory stock pipe, it's kind of plugged into here, so you just need to grab a flathead screwdriver, push the clips in from this side and this side. It should come out easy. Don't try to rip it, just go easy with it and you'll be able to get it out. And now I'm just going to use that hole there to sort of clamp it on with the zip tie. Before I do that though, there's one more thing. That with these pipes, which were hooked onto the original factory hose, they still need to be plugged onto something, so you might have to move these bits around, which I did earlier. So just move them around a little bit, just to a point where they can be latched onto the pipe, and then just leave it like that, just like so. Don't leave them hanging, because I don't know, they can get into some belt might touch them, or something might happen. I don't know, they might drop onto the exhaust and get burnt or something that way. So it's always a good idea to sort of have them clamped onto something. And for the next bit, I'm just gonna install that zip tie, so let me just quickly go and grab that. Alright, so here's my zip tie. I will probably feed it under and then try to grab it from the other end. Jeez, hang on. There we go. Alright. And then I'll just feed it through here. Again, following the same principle. Don't make it too tight, there's no point. As long as these things are just not touching any of the hot parts, they should be okay. So I think, to me, this looks pretty good. Tighten it, grab a cutter and cut it like so. Not too tight. Everything is perfect, out of the way. It's not gonna touch the belt there. Everything is nice and secure, and that's what you want. All right, perfect. So we're done. I think the last thing you still want to do is clamp the tap underneath. Now I'll figure that one out and come back. All right, so here's what we're gonna do to tie the tap down. I went into the truck, had a look just to see if there's anywhere else I can put it, but due to the length of it, I think this is the perfect sort of spot to put it on. Unfortunately, my zip tie isn't long enough, so I'm gonna combine two of these, like so, and where's my cutter? Cut this from here to make it nice and tidy. And let's go into the truck and have a look. Alright, so my plan was to sort of feed it through the side of the chassis and put your hand there, grab it on the other side, come around and put it in here, just like so. The only point of doing this is just making sure that the tap is not going to actually touch the wheel, and you know, stay out of the way of everything else. Stay away from the moving parts, and I'll check that in a minute, but it looks like it shouldn't do. Hopefully you can see it, I'm not sure, but it shouldn't do. So I'm just gonna cut this off. Let's have a look from the other side to make sure we're okay there. Yep, it should keep it there. I might even do another one just to go around, but the point is to keep it out of the way of the wheel so it doesn't touch a rub. We're gonna trial with this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll find another mounting point. But looking at the instructions, they kind of tell you to sort of mount it here as well, so it should be okay. So let's grab a cutter and cut this off. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually use another zip tie, hopefully you can see it, go around and then just tie it there so it doesn't, there's a guarantee that it's not gonna sort of jump around when I'm driving, like so. And then, oh, hopefully you were able to see all that. So what I've done is I've grabbed the zip tie, went around, just went around this other zip tie and tied it down here so it doesn't swing around and hit the wheel, because you don't, last thing you want to do is just sort of ripping everything off, and then yeah, gonna be a nightmare. But that's it. We can reinstall our engine cover back. So 4 points, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 and 4. It's just gonna go on top, but before I do that, I just wanna make sure everything is nice and tight. So this is tight, this one is tight, that one we did tightened up as well. It's the first one, and then these things are in place as well, nothing's touching. Actually, let's start the engine before I put the cover back on, just to make sure that nothing is going to touch. Everything is working as it should. You hopefully you were able to see, but you can see the fumes sort of coming out of here when you take the lid off. So that means that it's doing its job. So, well, its job is to actually filter those fumes and take the oil out of it, catch that oil, gets collected underneath, and then get drained down the tap. This one's got a good filter, even though it's second hand. The filter looks okay. I mean, I might change it at 10-20,000 Ks, but it's pretty fresh. nothing there. I've just sort of cleaned it up. So we'll use this one for now. This is my first time using a catch can anyway, so I don't know if they're worth it or not, but maybe in a couple of months I can do another review to see if it's captured anything. And yeah, that's it. So we'll reinstall the cover back on. So you can see everything goes back just like it was from the factory. There's no loose connectors or anything. The only thing I can say is this zip tie bit here, it doesn't come in the kit, so maybe doing this zip tie is something which is additional, which I've done. The instructions of the catch can doesn't say that you need to do this. So up to you. I just like things nice and secure, so that's why I've done it. And here's the yeah, that's it. That's your Western filter install. Nice and tight. See you guys next time. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I've done an EGR and DPF delete through the software as well, so I just need to get the EGR and DPF taken off, so hopefully I might be able to make a video on that. Not too sure. We'll see. Thank you.